What's going on? Shadow Band Refugee, welcome. All right, looks like I'm live on Rockfin as well. I'm about to share this out to everybody, all right? About to share this out. I'm trying something new. It's my first time streaming on StreamYard, which I'm already kind of liking it. I've used it before, but this is my first time using it like by myself. I've only used it like with guests. I haven't been able to I'm not used to like sharing the screen and everything. So we're gonna try this out. We're also I'm gonna open up Discord at the end of this because I've always loved hearing from you guys and hearing your opinions on everything that I talk about. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice chill stream because there's so much happening in the world right now that I'm gonna talk about in this video. I couldn't fit everything in this title. I had to have it clickbaity. Like I am gonna talk about like that Jimmy and Kyle thing very briefly, but I want to bring the purpose of that is because I want to bring as many people in as I can and inform people about all this other stuff that's more important that's happening. All right, who we got here? Shadowban Refugee, Ecuadorian Taco 27, Christian Gomez, Knight of the One Sunbro, ICU, Three Cho Grifter, Heidi Edelweiss. What up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for showing up. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the first story that I want to talk about. So we thought that we ended at fascism, right? Now that we have Joe Biden as president, there's no more fascism. We got rid of Trump. We have our savior, the Democrat, Joe Biden, who surely has never been a warmonger ever in his life, right? Never wanted to take control of the Middle East ever, saying that, oh, if there was no Israel, then we'd have to go out of our way to create an Israel. Because we know Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, right? They're surely not an apartheid state like how South Africa was, right? So here is what Joe Biden is doing. Joe Biden, the Democratic hero. And obviously, people, I'm being sarcastic here. So here is a story from The Last American Vagabond. This was written by Robert Inlakesh. Biden bombs Syria, Iraq, and threatens Iran. In the beginning of January 2020, when I started informing people, right? When I first took dipped my toes into the water trying to inform people, it was because of Donald Trump attacking Iran and assassinating Soleimani. I wanted to reduce the chances of there being a war like that, but it looks like no matter who is in office, we still get attacks like this. We still get threats against these countries that don't want to comply with what the U.S. wants. So Robert Inlakesh writes, the U.S. administration, the U.S. Biden administration has launched its second round of airstrikes on Syria this year, also bombarding Iraq in a move which it defends as forwarding the aims of peace and stability. Yet it only seems like the airstrikes have worked to escalate tensions with the two countries and Iran. This Monday morning, the U.S. military used F-15 and F-16 fighter jets to strike target in both Iraq and Syria, belonging to the Hasha al-Shabi. U.S. President Joe Biden signed off on the strikes without an approval from Congress, sparking backlash at what many critics have called an undemocratic move. Regardless of if it receives approval from Congress, it's still illegal under international law. And even if it was legal under international law, it's still immoral. You're sending airstrikes to another country where there's lies and you have run the risk of killing innocent people. It's immoral. Who cares if you need the vote from Congress or not? It's wrong either way. So the Pentagon said a demonstrated by this evening's strikes, President Biden has been clear that he will act to protect U.S. personnel. How are they a threat? How is Syria? How is Iran? How is Iraq? How are they a threat? How are they? We don't even allow refugees in this country. Or at least we set a lot of limitations for them to come to this country. And then when they come here, people treat them like shit. In a statement it issued on the strikes, yet despite the strikes being labeled as retaliatory and defensive in nature, the United States has not been able to verify that the two militia groups, Kateb Hezbollah and Kateb al-Sayyad al-Shuhada, were in fact behind any of the attacks on U.S. forces they are accused of. The U.S. claims that multiple sophisticated drones were used to attack its forces and military assets in Iraq, the most notable attack of which struck the Ain al-Assad base, the largest U.S. base in the country, yet without a transparent investigation into exactly where the drones came from and who was behind it. We are left only to believe the words of a U.S. government that overthrew the Iraqi government in 2003 over its intelligence on non-existent weapons of mass destruction. So the U.S. is supposed to be a democracy, right? Did the majority of people want these airstrikes to happen? Like, I highly doubt that anybody in the chat right now wanted these airstrikes to happen. I highly doubt that any of us want to be in any of these wars right now. So then we're not a democracy then. The U.S. airstrikes on Syria 4 months ago targeting PMU forces near Abu Kamal were also justified at the time U.S. media and the government by alleging that they had struck the group responsible for targeting U.S. forces in Erbil, Iraq. However, at the time of the strike, the investigation launched into the attacks had only reached a preliminary stage, and the only known group to have claimed the attack was a newly formed militia, Awilia al-Dam, which has no proven connection to the PMU. Iraq's Prime Minister, Mustafa al-Kadhimi, condemned the US strikes immediately in an unexpected way, labeling them a blatant and unacceptable violation of Iraqi sovereignty and Iraqi national security. This, whilst Kataib al-Sayyad al-Shuhada threatened a war on U.S. forces and vowed a response. The official U.S. excuse of using a show of force in order to deter attacks on U.S. forces and stabilize the country has in fact only further escalated tensions and created a larger rift between it and its Iraq government allies. Of course, it's going to increase tensions. Like, you're attacking another country and killing people, and then long term it increases tensions. Like, you're causing all these people to suffer, and they're going to have a vengeance against the United States, and then they join the terrorist groups, or what the U.S. classifies as terrorist groups. It's truly unbelievable, you know, how the U.S. does this shit. I want you guys, if you know anybody who said that they voted for Biden, who said that we had to reduce harm, to show them that article. Show them any article that's from like Vanessa Beeley or Eva Bartlett that's talking about these airstrikes, and be like, this is what we voted for. You thought that you were reducing harm. Look at all the suffering that your vote caused. Your vote for Biden is causing more suffering. The best thing to do is to recognize that our election system is effed up. These politicians are all bought by the same people who want more war so that they can obtain resources from these other countries in the global south, exploit all those people that have more in common with you, these black and brown people. Or if you're white, they're still working class people. You have more in common with them than these politicians. Tell them how much suffering is being caused because you keep voting for these warmongers, these war criminals. Honestly, guys, I can't emphasize enough how we just need to opt out of the system. And, you know, just get the word out about how to opt out. You can join my Discord. There's this Freedom Cells also where people can join Freedom Cells and put down their skills, and you can teach people the skills that you have. We can't keep giving money to these corporations and empowering them so that they can keep buying off our politicians. And have more direct action, spread more videos like this, more news articles like the one I just showed you. Inform people. The more people you get to accept that the step that we need to take next is to opt out, the easier it becomes, the more people that you have on your side that agree with doing that. All right, what do we got next? How long are we in so far in the stream? Joe Valdez, what's up? Anthony Reyes, what's up, brother? Says they don't care, Franco. They tell you vote them, then act like they didn't tell you. Josh Davis, yo, Franco, check Discord. Bro. Yeah, I got you, man. I'll bring you in a bit. Don't worry. I got you, Josh. I sucked it up and voted for Howie. No jodas. All right, I'm gonna try to get another guest in to talk about Syria again, because I'm not like an expert on this topic, but I'm trying to inform myself as much as I can. All right, so the next topic I wanted to talk to you guys about is Mike Gravel. Rest in peace to Mike Gravel. I made a video, like one of my first videos that I ever did before I even had Frank Analysis. I used to be a part of HMO Podcast. I'm still, closely affiliated with them. They're still in the MCSC network umbrella. But, I just felt myself on my phone like, this is unfair what they're doing to him, because he ran as a presidential candidate in 2020. And from what I remember, he received enough donations to pass the threshold of being on the debate stage. Because remember, they had so many candidates that were running as a Democrat, and Mike Gravel wasn't initially. He didn't receive enough of the requirements for like the polls, but he did receive enough for in donations at one point. And then there were some polls where he had passed the threshold, but those weren't the ones that the DNC accepted. So I just want to play this throwback video that I'd made. How long ago was it? Back in like February 2020. Damn, I had longer hair back then and everything. So I was in the video. I talk about the DNC changes debate rules for Bloomberg after telling Mike Gravel they couldn't change the rules. So in the video, like I give like I wanted to target people that weren't that into politics, so people who didn't have as much political awareness. So I did break this down about like who Mike Gravel is. I show clips of Mike Gravel calling out Obama and Hillary Clinton back in when he ran as president in 2008. So I'm just gonna play this video real quick. And I used to talk really slow back then. So I'm gonna amp up the speed for you guys. No sound. Hang on, guys. That sucks that there's no sound. Hang on. I'm gonna fix that for you guys. Yeah, bear with me, guys. My bad. This is my first time using StreamYard like this. All right, let me know. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio? Can you guys hear it? Can you guys hear the video I'm playing though? No audio? Okay. 1 second. Maybe this will fix the issue. All right, what about this?
Recording for Hear Me Out Entertainment. I'm here to talk to you guys about something really important that's been coming out recently. It's one of many examples of how the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, is rigging the elections in favor of the corporations while undermining the will of the people. We're going to talk about Michael Bloomberg. But first, let me talk to you guys about former Senator Mike Gravel of Alaska.
Now can you hear it?
For introducing the Pentagon Papers back in the 1970s, which revealed the war crimes of the United States government of at least 3 administrations during the Vietnam War, lying to the people while escalating tensions in Vietnam. So Mike Gravel ran for president back in 2008, and he also ran in 2019 for the 2020 presidential run in order to push the debates more left to be as a sort of backup for Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, and Andrew Yang, the anti-establishment candidates. And he met the way the debates were established were you had to meet either a donor threshold or a polling threshold. And these rules were established by the DNC. Now, Mike Gravel, he met the donor threshold, which was at the time, had to be, I don't remember the exact number, but it was about 30 to 40,000 individual donations from people. Now, he met that. However, he did not meet the polling requirements in order to qualify for the debates. He did meet one of the polls where he had to be at least 1%. However, he was 1% or more in several other polls that were legitimate, but it was questionable why the DNC didn't look into those polls that were pretty reliable tests. And just so you can get an idea of what Mike Gravel stands for, back in 2008, here's a clip of him when he ran against Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, John Edwards. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, dang it.
And former Alaska Senator.
Let me change the speed here since this is a classic right here. It's going to go down in history.
Senator Mike Gravel. Senator, thank you. And Senator Gravel, for those who may not be familiar with your past, 2 terms U.S. Senate from Alaska, you played a role in the fight to cut off money for the Vietnam War. What would be your advice, Senator, for the elected officials on this stage who are at a conflict, opposed to the conflict, but also feel the need to keep on funding the conflict?
Well, first off, understand that this war was lost the day that George Bush invaded Iraq on a fraudulent basis. Understand that. Now, with respect to what's going on in the Congress, I'm really embarrassed. So we passed, and the media is in a frenzy right today with what has been passed. What has been passed? George Bush communicated over a year ago that he would not get out of Iraq until he left office. Do we not believe him? We need to find another way. That's where I really would like to sit down with Pelosi and with Reid, and I would hope the other senators would focus on how do you get out? You pass the law, not a resolution, a law, making it a felony to stay there. And I'll give you the text of it. And if you're worried about filibuster, here's what you do tactically. They can pass it in the House. We got the votes there. In the Senate, let them filibuster it. And let Reid call up at 12 o'clock every day to have a cloture vote and let the American people see clearly who's keeping the war going and who's not. And that's just the beginning of the tactic if they're tough enough to do it.
Senator Gravel, at a forum earlier this year, I want to get this right. You said it doesn't matter whether you are elected president or not. So then why are you here tonight? Shouldn't debates be for candidates who are in the race to win the race?
Ryan, you're right. I made that statement. But that's before I had a chance to stand with them three times. It's like going into the Senate. You know, the first time you get there, you're all excited. My God, how did I ever get here? Then about 6 months later, you say, how the hell did the rest of them get here? And I got to tell you, after standing up with them, some of these people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates that turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm president of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top tier ones. They made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should.
I got to point something out there. He says the top tier ones, right? So he's talking about Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and at the time, John Edwards. But I think a lot of people have forgotten about John Edwards. But at the time, he was like at the top three. Joe Biden was unpopular back then, just like how he was when he ran in the 80s as president. He was super unpopular. He ranked like in the bottom or near the middle. Here, he was also like in the middle or in the bottom. But he had the audacity to like raise his hand because when Mike Gravel was like, some of these candidates frighten me. And then he's like, oh, yeah, like Joe Biden's raising his hand, trying to include himself. And then he's like, oh, Biden, Joe, I'll include you too. Because he said top tier. It was like, oh, no, but Joe, I'll include you too. Because you have an arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their countries. And what do we just see happening? You know, in the segment prior to this, we talk about how he, attacked Iraq and attacked Syria. He's continuing, this war machine. And Mike Gravel was right to be frightened about these candidates. Barack Obama, what did he do? He ramped up the number of drones. He was the bomber in chief, right? That was his nickname. Hillary Clinton wanted to have the no-fly zone in Syria. She was more of a hawk than Donald Trump when she was running in 2016. And look at what she did as Secretary of State in Egypt and Libya. Like, her history also shows like how much of a warmonger she was. But yeah, I just thought it was funny how Mike Gravel had to point out Joe Biden, because he, in addition to the top tier ones, because Joe Biden was never a popular guy. He gained his popularity after he was vice president for Barack Obama. Without that, he'd be a nobody.
Play get out. Just play get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, the soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. You know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain? Is more soldiers dying in vain. That's what's worse.
Short answer question. Once.
So just in case you didn't know, Mike Bloomberg was a
Oh yeah, this is important too. This is
when
important too.
George W. Bush back in 2004. He agreed with him a lot in foreign policy. And up until 2008, he became an independent after he endorsed Barack Obama, and then he became the mayor in New York as an independent who implemented stop and frisk, which was horrible on minorities. And
so I'm gonna skip over to this part here. So Mike Bloomberg, like I was talking about how Mike Bloomberg was an independent, a Republican at one point who endorsed George W. Bush, and then he became an independent. And they changed the debate rules for him, but then they didn't change the debate rules for Mike Gravel, and they didn't change it for Tulsi Gabbard, who had an anti-imperialist message. So yeah, let's hear what they had to say to Mike Bloomberg. I mean, what they told Mike Gravel.
These polls that they're choosing. So here's what the DNC responded to Mike Gravel in his campaign.
We want to give everybody as many chances as we could, and I think that it's a very generous set of rules. But
let me slow this down. It's going really fast.
I think the broader issue is that we can't change them later on for the benefit of any candidate. That's kind of a rule number one for us here, and it doesn't matter who it is. We obviously that's what that's do. Like we didn't change them for for Governor Bullock, and we can't change them for anybody. That is contrary to what I think people expect out of the DNC and what we've committed to in terms of running a transparent and a neutral primary.
Yeah. So like what I was showing here was how much money Mike Bloomberg had donated to the DNC. So it's fun. They were saying like, oh, we can't change the rule for anybody. But then like they quietly changed the rules when it's somebody who's a billionaire, who's receiving a lot of coverage and who has donated money to the DNC. Crazy, right? But it's certainly not unbelievable because just how can this corruption and this oligarchy surprise you? They're going to favor these billionaires that empower them. This is how the system is set up. So I'm gonna direct you guys to this. What else did I have here? Oh. So if you wanna go back and inform yourself a little bit more on history, what Mike Gravel's significance was in history. This is on Consortium News. This is like a multi-part series on the significance of the revealing of the Pentagon Papers in Congress. Here's part one. Here's Mike Gravel when he was younger. So it starts by saying, after publication of the Pentagon Papers was shut down, Dan Ellsberg leaked the top secret history to Senator Mike Gravel. This is how Gravel got the papers, what he did with them, and what happened next. So this is part one. So right now they're like on part 7, so they're releasing this like really fast. Yeah, guys, like if you guys want to take some time to honor Mike Gravel after his passing, I highly recommend reading this stuff. I'll read a little bit here. So it says this month is the 50th anniversary of the release of the Pentagon Papers, top secret study of the war in Southeast Asia, which showed that US leaders knew the war was lost but continued killing and dying anyway. And it's just recently, back in 2019, the Washington Post released some documents revealing that they're lying to, like, the Bush administration, the Obama administration, and the Trump administration were all lying to us about Afghanistan. They're all, the generals there, the troops there, they have no idea what we're doing there. They don't know who the enemies are, but we're still there. And history keeps repeating itself here. And we're allowing this to happen because we keep voting for these lesser of two evils, even though it's the same kind of evil. It's just a different sports team. But both sports teams are bought off by the same owner. Driven by his conscience, one of the study's authors, Daniel Ellsberg, leaked the papers to the New York Times and the Washington Post. In response, the Justice Department, President Richard M. Nixon slapped injunctions on the newspaper, preventing them from continuing publication. Both newspapers sued the administration in a case that would be decided by the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Ellsberg had sought another way to get the papers out. He approached several sitting members of Congress to have them released during a legislative act. Several senators turned him down until the first-term senator from Alaska, Mike Gravel, said yes. Today, Consortium News begins a multi-part series on that little told part of the Pentagon Papers story. How Gravel obtained the papers from Ellsberg, how he arranged to read them in Congress, and what were the consequences Gravel suffered for his bold act, which ended in the early morning of June 30th, 1971, just hours before the Supreme Court decided the Pentagon Papers case. So some of the things that are discussed here, which connects to some of the things that are happening today with other whistleblowers, is how the State Department tried to spy on Ellsberg, very similarly to how the U.S. was working with this Spanish firm to spy on Julian Assange when he was in the Ecuadorian embassy. Crazy, right? Same story, different characters. But yeah, I'll link this to you guys right now. Let me put it up in the chat. You guys are awesome, by the way. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't yet hit that like button. Real quick, I'm gonna read some of the super rays here that you guys sent. Hunter Carranza, thank you very much for the super ray. Said much love, Franco. Mio Pais, thank you very much for your donation. And Brandon Burks, thank you very much. He said, I'm glad you're calling a thing a thing. Kyle is the ops, just like his good friends Jank, Anna, AOC, and Omiki Kans. Show me your friends. I'll tell you everything. It'll tell you everything about you. It says a lot about you. Yeah, it says a lot about you depending on, who you have in your circle. We'll get into that in a little bit. And trust me, I can't wait to get into that. I know a lot of you guys are excited to hear about what went down and what my analysis is about that. All right, let me pull this back up. But yeah, that's that's the segment for Mike Gravel. Rest in peace to him. I thought that he was the most he's arguably the most anti-imperialist candidate that ran in 2020. Tulsi Gabbard was pretty anti-imperialist. I don't agree with everything that they stand for, and I wouldn't support any politician ever going forward. But if they stand for certain policies, I'm going to support that. But I just don't see electoral politics as a way forward if the system is always going to be rigged against these people, and these corporations are becoming more and more powerful to rig elections against people so that they can maintain the status quo, so that they can stay in power. It's going to be impossible whether you're in the run as a Democrat or you try to run as a third party. There's so many obstacles that are put in place. Like you saw what I just went over, how they changed the rules for billionaires, but not for these anti-imperialist candidates. We got to look for other ways to solve our problems, and you got to look within yourself. You can't just expect other people like Mike Gravel or Tulsi Gabbard or Bernie Sanders to do it for you. You are the hero of your own story. All right, let me give you guys an update on Peru. So Peru still hasn't announced their new president. They still haven't. And Keiko Fujimori, who lost, doesn't want to step down. We had a protest in DC on Saturday, which is now 3 days ago. And here's an article on Kasuchan News. Talks about the imminent coup in Peru. Legal maneuvers and delays presented by the far right are pushing Peru closer to a coup with each passing day. It's been 20 days since Peru's June 6th election, and the authorities have not yet proclaimed the winner, which is Pedro Castillo. According to the law, a new president must be proclaimed by July 28th, and if this state of limbo continues until then, the electoral process will have to be thrown out and a coup will have to be consolidated. And according to the rules in Peru, guys, if there is not a president that's decided by July 28th, which is also Peru's Independence Day, then the candidate, the person who becomes president, is whoever is in Congress that received the most votes. So the person who had received the most votes in Congress right now, who's sitting in Congress, is somebody who's in Keiko Fujimori's political party. It's like it's been planned out and it's been by design. Right? So she just wants to extend it as long as she can so that there's a constitutional crisis in that country and so that the right can maintain power there. They want to maintain neoliberalism as much as they can and empower the rich people there. Same story, different country, but the biggest influencers, which is the United States multinationals, are involved, which we'll get into in this story as we read along. Leftist candidate Pedro Castillo won the presidential election in Peru, receiving 50.125% of the vote, the equivalent of 44,000 votes more than far-right candidate Keiko Fujimori. Fujimori presented a number of motions to annul votes in provinces that delivered landslide victories for Castillo, claiming the existence of quote-unquote irregularities. The motions have been analyzed and thrown out by electoral authorities. Nevertheless, no winner has been officially declared president-elect. So this is something that we were saying when we were giving our speeches over at the event that I live streamed on the ground, is that this has been reviewed and overseen by multiple countries. There's no evidence of any irregularities or fraud that occurred. Canada has accepted the results. The European Union has accepted the results. Multiple countries in Latin America, including Argentina and Mexico, have accepted the results. But Keiko doesn't want to step down. And what the article is going to mention here, after rejecting Fujimori's motions, Peru's National Electoral Court, the JNE, which is what decides what makes the official announcement of who's president, was suddenly thrown into chaos on Wednesday, June 23rd, when a member of the court and known Fujimori supporter, Luis Arce Cordova, resigned. The resignation meant that the court no longer had a quorum and thus could not declare Castillo's victory. So she had somebody in the JNE who was supporting her. It's a complete conflict of interest. So she has supporters in the JNE. She has supporters in Congress who is expected to become the president if this is prolonged until July 28th. And she also has people in the ONPE, which is the organization that counts the votes. Piero Corvetto, who was a member of Keiko Fujimori's party, a Fuerza Popular, Popular Force. And of course, she has the support of the monopoly of the mainstream media in Peru. If there was any kind of fraud or irregularities, it's most likely have to have come from her. She has more power. Like Peru Libre, which is Pedro Castillo's party. This is their first time making it this far. They don't have the connections or influence like how Keiko Fujimori has, which were established also during her father's presidency, Alberto Fujimori, where he empowered all these capitalists and billionaires in Peru. So let's read along a little bit more. If Castillo is not proclaimed president by July 20th due to bad faith delays and maneuvers of this nature, then the law stipulates that Congress must convene and elect a president. Right-wing forces currently have a majority in the legislature and would be able to elect one of their own and call for new elections, thereby annulling Pedro Castillo's victory. His victory would be annulled. They're going to prevent Castillo from being president if this goes beyond July 28th. Can you imagine how unbelievable that is? They already had their elections, and he's going to be taken out. They're like, oh, no, we can't accept your democracy. We can't accept the will of the people. Oh, this is important. I have some family members who are participating in this, unfortunately. At a street level, retired military officers have been holding rallies in Lima to demand a coup to prevent Pedro Castillo from being sworn in. This follows numerous letters asking for the same. Many of the congressional lawmakers who would be in charge of electing president after the 28th were present at those marches. So the military is very right-wing. A lot of them also, like some of the veterans, remember what happened with the Sendero Luminoso attacks, some of which were on innocent people. They hate communism. They hate communism. They think that Pedro Castillo, if he becomes president, then he's going to facilitate more terrorist attacks, even though, if they got, supposedly, according to their narrative, if the communists got the leader that they wanted, why would they be committing terrorist attacks? It makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, there's that, and then there's the fact that Pedro Castillo is not even he's not even a communist. He's more of a democratic socialist. All right, what else is here? Peru's electoral authorities were then hit by another bombshell from Fujimori supporters on Thursday, June 24th. Leaked audios from Vladimir Montesinos, the jailed right-hand man of former dictator Alberto Fujimori, revealed significant attempts by him to meddle in the National Electoral Court, the JNE, and possible collusion with the United States Embassy. I can't remember the name of the ambassador for Peru that's in DC right now, but in one of my streams, I showed how she is tied to the CIA. So yeah, this is not over. We can't congratulate Pedro Castillo as president. I know I gave my congratulations. Maduro and other people congratulated him, but it's not like our congratulations is just like, hey, like, congratulations that you got the majority of the votes from the people. But it's not over because of everything that we just went over here. This is being delayed, and it may be taken away from him, or better I should say, it's going to be taken away from the Peruvian people. So here's what Montesinos said. There is no other way. There is no other way because it's been a long time now on the issue of the U.S. Embassy. They have had to handle this differently. You can still do the embassy thing as I am explaining to you, but make it clear to the father, Alberto, or the girl, Keiko, understand, I don't know who you are talking to. I don't want to be contaminated. We are trying to help in a common goal. What do I get from this? Nothing. I'm not interested, and I'm never going to ask them for anything either. I'm just trying to help because otherwise they're screwed. The girl will end up in prison. That's the situation, right? Yeah, if Keiko Fujimori doesn't become president, then she's going to end up in prison because she's wanted for corruption, but she was still allowed to run for president because of the way that Peru's system is set up. It allows criminals, like financial criminals like this, to run as president. And she's going to pardon herself. She's going to pardon her father, who committed crimes against humanity on people by sterilizing indigenous people. If somebody from her party becomes president, like that congressperson who I was telling you about, who is in her party, if he becomes president after July 28th, then he may pardon her as well. We have criminals in Peru. We have criminals in the US, all over the world who run the world. It's crazy. And then what else we got here? So here's what Keiko Fujimori said. Fujimori demands international audit of Peru election results. So she's urging for an international audit. Far-right candidate Keiko Fujimori continues to refuse to refuse and to accept the result of Peru's presidential election, in which leftist Pedro Castillo beat Fujimori by a margin of 44,000 votes. The defeated candidate has presented a number of appeals which have been overruled and is now demanding an international audit of the votes, just asking for like the US to step in. So here, I'm just gonna play this and I'll translate for you guys. It's taking forever. Or I can just zoom in here and press play. Maybe that'll work.
El Perú es un nuevo epicentro de confrontación. Confrontación entre el comunismo y una economía libre, entre el control de la prensa y la libertad de expresión. Y hoy que tengo la oportunidad de estar frente a la prensa internacional, quiero también dar mi mensaje al mundo de lo que significa esta batalla para nuestro país.
So she's saying that Peru is like facing against communism, is facing against these dangerous people, and the threat of the free market being taken down. And she's talking about like, here's what I'm going to tell you guys in front of international press.
Esta segunda vuelta no es solamente entre Keiko Fujimori y Pedro Castillo, sino estamos enfrentando también al partido político, como además ellos se autodenominan, marxista-leninista Perú Libre. El destino ha querido que el Fujimorismo, que hace 30 años detuvo el avance del Sendero Luminoso.
So she's talking about Perú Libre, which is Pedro Castillo's party, and they do call themselves Marxist-Leninists. And there's arguments that are made whether they actually are Marxist-Leninists or not. But she says that she's giving her father credit for the end of terrorism that happened under his reign. Alberto Fujimori did crack down on Sendero Luminoso, which is the Shining Path, which were a group of Maoists. And she's basically trying to give herself credit as well and saying like, you can entrust me and prevent from ever happening again.
Hoy represente a todos los peruanos en el intento de que Perú no se convierta en Venezuela. Esa es una de las grandes responsabilidades que nosotros tenemos.
She wants to prevent Peru from becoming like Venezuela because she claims, and a lot of people who are brainwashed by the mainstream media claim that the problems in Venezuela are because of communism, even though there's scientific evidence showing that it's because of the US sanctions. That's not what she's saying, but I'm giving you that context that she's not giving you. But that's the narrative that they try to fearmonger people with. They're like, oh, look at Venezuela, look at Cuba. This is how Peru is going to end up.
Y queremos informar al mundo hechos muy graves que vienen sucediendo en esta última etapa del proceso electoral. Y como lo dije al comienzo, esto no se trata de mí. Se trata de que el Perú es un país estratégicamente, geopolíticamente hablando, fundamental en Latinoamérica.
She's saying that this is beyond me. Like Peru is a rich country, has all these like great resources.
Y es por eso este intento de la izquierda internacional de, como dé lugar, y con todas estas manipulaciones que hemos visto en mesa, quieren tratar de torcer la voluntad popular.
She's saying that the international left, like Venezuela, and I guess in her case, she's probably going to say like Argentina. Like she's saying that all these, or like Cuba also, she's saying that all these people are uniting and trying to rig the elections in favor of Castillo in Peru. And they're trying to go against the will of the Peruvian people. But, there's no evidence of that at all. And like talking about like secure elections. Like Venezuela has one of the most secure elections in the whole world. Now that doesn't mean that they aren't going to like try to intervene in elections, but there's no evidence of that. There's plenty of evidence of the U.S. trying to get meddle into elections and, you know, succeeding in installing their right-wing puppets. So what she's doing, she's projecting, she's gaslighting, and she knows it.
He estado en prisión 3 veces, más de 16 meses, alejada de mi familia. Y de esa experiencia tan difícil es que saco las fuerzas.
She's trying to throw a pity party about how she's been in jail for 16 months, far away from her family, like trying to make it out to be as if like what she didn't deserve it, like she was unjustly in prison, and saying that through those difficult times she's learned a lot.
Para decirle a la izquierda radical y al partido marxista-leninista Perú Libre que nosotros vamos a levantar nuestra voz. Lo que queremos es que se respete la voluntad popular.
But she's not all right. So she's saying that through that experience that I had while I was in prison, like I came out of it, and now I'm strong, and I'm telling the Marxist-Leninist Party of Free Peru, Peru Libre, that you will not intervene in the will of the people, like what the popular will of the people decided. But that's what she's doing, because she's not accepting these results. Like she keeps claiming that there was fraud, and she's not presenting any evidence at all. So one of the claims that's being made is that there was like dead people that voted, or that there were children that voted. But here's an article here called Peru Check, and also like she hasn't presented any documented evidence to show that this occurred. But here's this article called Peru Check, talking about how it's false that the cases of votes of like underage people and people who died, this claim by this guy Rafael Santos is false. So this article breaks down how, you know, it's BS. El ex candidato presidencial por Partido Patria Segura, Rafael Santos, publicó en Twitter que, so this, he's talking about, the article's talking about how Rafael Santos made this claim, you know, that there were like kids and dead people that voted. Santos muestra un padrón electoral en el que se ven las fotográficas de los menores. So this is what he presented, you know, this is his evidence showing like all these minors, you know, being read, like their photographs here. So en comunicación con Peruchek, el ex alcalde indicó que la información expuesta en Twitter es de la mesa de sufragio donde esposa fue personera. Ahí está, whoops. Just happened. It kicked me out. All right, so where were we? Le pareció curioso que hubieran moscosos que votaron y no metimos el RENIAC. All right, this keeps kicking me out. It was working fine on my phone, but pretty much I can sum it up what the article was saying. It was saying that the evidence that he was showing like is false. Like this is not showing, like this figure here is not showing like who voted. Like people are claiming like that this list that shows people that were registered to vote. So some of the people that died during the pandemic are listed there as people who were registered to vote, but that it doesn't mean that those people voted. Well, so yeah, those claims are false. And then here's another article that says Jefe de la ONPI en el Perú los muertos no votan, saying that, you know, it's illegal for people who are dead to vote. This article also breaks down how, you know, these claims are absolute nonsense. So if you guys want, I can link this over to the chat and you guys can read this for yourselves. There might be a way to translate it. You guys can read the translation of this article. All right, let's shift over to the next topic here. But first, I'm going to read some super rays. Brendan Burks, thank you very much for the super ray. Please take some time out to cover Eric London's article about AOC. They're found on the World Socialist website. We no longer have to wonder why she does nothing that she claims she's for. She is CIA. We just need to figure out how to carry on. That doesn't surprise me at all. I haven't been covering AOC too much because right now, for me and like my audience, it feels like it's like water is wet kind of material. I did cover it very briefly with Howl Underground, how she like was proud of holding her tongue against the moderate Democrats. But I feel like there's other stories that I had to cover today, like for example, Syria, Assange, Mike Gravel's passing. And I'm gonna hear some of your thoughts later, like on Discord, about, you know, what I just discussed with you guys today, and of course what's going on with the Peruvian elections. I also, if you have not yet seen like the footage of me on the ground for the protest that I organized with some of this group called Peru al Extranjero, Peru from like overseas, or like from like outside of Peru, and the Answer Coalition. You guys should check that out. It was a beautiful day. Some of the audience members who are here, like Josh Davis and Jordan, were there. There was dancing, there was singing, there was great speeches that were made by some of the Peruvians that attended, and by Answer Coalition. And then I also gave my speech as well. All right, so there appears to be a conflict now between Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore. I'm just going to talk about this briefly because I feel like some of this stuff I weren't like telling you guys about months ago about Kyle's coverage. Like when I try to criticize people, it's because I want you guys to be aware of this stuff when you're getting this information from certain people, to know that, you know, some of the information you receive from these people is limited. There's a lot of stories that Kyle doesn't, you know, go deep into. And with what just recently happened with him not having a word in, you know, the drama with TYT and calling and smearing Aaron with false claims about how he's paid by Russia and paid by Assad. Jimmy was liking certain tweets, you know. I'll show you guys what happened. All right. All right, so here is, let me go back here. So here's where it started. Kyle Kulinski put a bunch of question marks here. He's like, what the hell? Like, Jimmy Dore's liking this. So here's a tweet, right? All right, this is loading. Jimmy Dore says he liked a tweet that said, Crystal Ball and Kyle Kulinski, seriously, though, you're ignoring the serious story completely to avoid drama. Weak. And then Kyle puts this up, like this picture up, showing how, you know, he has talked about the Syria story by discussing, you know, Biden illegally bombing Syria. And then Jimmy Dore quote retweeted this, and he said, I think they are talking about the OPCW cover-up and the slanderous conduct of your friends, Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian, in trying to destroy the reputation of Aaron Mate. But you can keep pretending that doesn't matter, I guess. And then he was quoting this individual here, the two Dino. And then Kyle said, obviously, Aaron isn't paid by Russia. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. 2, I did comment on it, and I also was skeptical of the U.S. narrative publicly from day one. 3, now that I've started the obvious, I'll comment tomorrow on another obvious thing that you won't like. What could Kyle be talking about here? I think he's talking about the, like, how Jimmy Dore took the sexual harassment blackmail that Anna Kasparian was warning Jimmy about, and how Jimmy, you know, took it on his show, and he was still, you know, saying like, hey, like still, you know, talking about Anna, like he's like, oh, like look at what she was wearing, like how could I felt the urge to like make a joke out of it. That's not exactly what Jimmy said, but you know, that's I'm sure by now you guys have all seen that whole drama that unfolded, like this whole novela. And then Kyle says, wanted nothing to do with any of this, but if I'm dragged in, I'm dragged in. Full breakdown on of the Jimmy Aaron TYT thing tomorrow. What else? There was another tweet that I wanted to show you guys. Oh. I think the biggest thing here is that Kyle was just he didn't want to get involved because he was friends with Cenk, he's friends with Anna, and he's also friends with Jimmy, and he just didn't want to get involved in the drama. He wants to be cool with everybody. I mean, remember, he was cool with Michael Brooks, even though Michael Brooks would dress as Jimmy Dore and make fun of Jimmy Dore. At the same time, he was friends with Jimmy Dore. But things like the tension is just increasing right now with like forced to vote and everything, like the tensions between these synthetic leftists like TYT and everybody, Majority Report, and those people, and how they kneecap movements that Jimmy Dore advocates for. Like these tensions are increasing, like it's becoming more personal. Before, Jimmy Dore would just like ignore the stuff that Sam Cedar and Michael Brooks would put out, and he was just like, you know, Kyle, you know, he mostly agrees with some of the stuff that I say. And he also had his take a while ago where he was talking about how Sam Cedar is being an asshole by making all these endless videos about Jimmy Dore. I don't, you know, if like I can understand Kyle not wanting to say anything, you know, about this, but if you remember back, like how I just mentioned, like he did say something about Sam Cedar being an asshole, like all those years back. He could have said, you know, I think Cenk and Anna are like assholes for making up these smears. You know, I don't like, I don't think this is good behavior. You know, them calling out Aaron like this and making up lies about him. Like he could have said something like that, maybe. But, you know, he was silent on it, and I guess Jimmy was taking it personal. On one side, it's good that people get exposed. Like it's good that TYT is getting exposed as like these State Department talking point repeaters and these direct action kneecappers. these like pro-war but with like liberal takes and liberal and focusing on like on social issues and like the what's it called, the social justice warrior drama that happens between them and like the Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro crowd. But on the other side, people get sucked in to this too much, like into this drama that's happening. They get sucked into that too much and ignore the more important issues. Like you can still talk about what's happening in Syria and how the U.S. and the Western powers are spreading misinformation about the elections and all that. Like you can still talk about that without talking about the drama between TYT and Aaron. Like I think you can still do that. Like for example, Eva Bartlett, Vanessa Beeley, Kavark, like they're all focusing on, you know, just what's happening on the ground in Syria without, you know, getting into this whole drama with TYT and Jimmy Dore. Like there's enough people talking about that. Like how many more people do you need talking about this novela? You know, this is about personalities on the left. There's more important things to be talking about. And yeah, you can mention like on Twitter, it's like, yeah, this is wrong. But I mean, do you need to make like a whole video about this? There's a whole bunch of people already, you know, doing it. Like you can, I like the approach that Nico took where he was showing, you know, it's like, hey, like we've been calling out this corruption that TYT has of being paid by these billionaires, not just Katzenberg, but all these other guys. They've been getting paid by them since like 2016, 2017. And all of a sudden now people care about this, care about their corruption and are making a big fuss about it because a personality was attacked. I mean, at this point, like it's great to see their downfall, but it's like saying like water is wet. But at the same time, Kyle, how much longer can he be affiliated with these State Department talking point repeaters, these McCarthyite smears? Like how long is he going to stay affiliated with them, stay friends with them? That may be the thing that is upsetting Jimmy and Aaron. Is it's not just that Kyle's not talking about it like on his show, but it's that he's still being friends with them. Let me see what some of you guys are saying here. I don't know what else to say about this. Like this is just you know, drama that's happening in the independent media sphere. It's good that we're seeing all these people getting unmasked, like TYT and all. Like we see that these are bad faith actors, and people are going to remember that and spread that information to new people that come into the independent media sphere and be like, hey, you know, this is why, you know, I don't trust TYT or why I don't trust Majority Report is because of this and that. Look at who pays them. Look at how Sam Cedar has an MSNBC contract. Look at how they've advocated for wars. And yes, there is evidence of Cenk Uygur advocating for bombing Syria. And if you're Russia-gating, you are advocating for increasing tensions against Russia. And if you call Assad like if you call Assad a dictator, if you call Maduro a dictator, well, at the same time, oh, but I don't think that we should intervene. Like you're still repeating State Department talking points that manufactures people's consent to intervene into these countries. Just don't call them dictators. And I'm not saying that Kyle does that. I haven't watched them in a long time. But there certainly are, you know, a lot of people that do that, including like Sam Cedar and Cenk Uygur and all those people. That's right, Sabby. Some of these peeps are not as indie as they claim. Call it all out. Yeah, these people like have this facade of how yeah, we're independent media just because they're on YouTube, but then they get paid by these corporations. And of course, it's going to be it's going to influence the things that you talk about on your show, because you're not going to want to tarnish those contracts. You're not going to want to tarnish the financial relationship that you have with these people. Austin Hall, will abolishing the CIA work? Of course. Spread that message far and wide. Abolish the CIA. I mean, one more thing about Kyle. Like, keep this in mind when you listen to him. Like, he still tries to give like I forgot the word that Unapologetic used. So Dontel from Unapologetic. Like he tries to make himself out there. It's like, oh, I'm not being biased against it. I'm trying to be fair. Like when it comes to talking about like Joe Biden, when it's like, like he's saying the right things about getting out of Afghanistan. Like, I mean, like, like he has 47 years of a record showing how much of a warmonger he is. Like, why are you giving him the benefit of the doubt of pulling out of Afghanistan just because he's saying the right things? At one point, every president is going to just say the right thing, but then just do the opposite. It's to calm people down. It's lip service. At the end, they're not going to deliver. At the end, they're going to do exactly what the people who they're serving want them to do. And those people that they serve is the military industrial complex, big pharma, the Wall Street. And then of course he still, says that what's her name? That the squad are that they just have bad strategy. No, they know what they're doing. They're sacrificing their integrity for political expediency. So by definition, that makes them sellouts. They're backtracking on the promises that they made. So I have yet to hear Kyle Kulinski call these people sellouts. I could be wrong, but he has yet to call them sellouts. And I think he does it because he wants to comfort some of those overlapping audience members that he has with TYT and Majority Report and all those people, and Bosch, which, he's still more, he gives more compliments. He is more fair and brings on people like Vosh than people who are doing actual work outside of their house, outside of playing video games. Like, he ignores people who are on the ground in other countries, like Fiorella Isabel, Vanessa Beeley, Eva Bartlett. He doesn't bring these people on. He doesn't tell people to inform themselves on these sources, using these sources. Like, if you're not going to go deep on certain topics, that's fine. It's your show. But the least you can do is do your audience a service and tell people about where they can inform themselves more. Tell them about Cory Morningstar, Eva Bartlett. Tell them about these people. Help out other people in independent media who are doing great work, like Robbie Yeager, The Combo Couch, Soul Newsday, Fred Hampton Leftists. We're not seeing enough of that, But yeah, that's enough of that. All right, Josh, I'm gonna bring you in just a little bit. Josh Davis. We're gonna talk about Home Run for Julian. Whoa, this is not what I wanted to show you guys. Where'd it go? Hang on a second. I'm going to pull up the tweet that I wanted to show you guys. But we're going to move on and talk about Julian Assange and Home Run for Julian. All right, guys. So on Thursday this week, I will be on the ground joining some of the activists that are fighting hard to free Julian Assange. And I'm going to be live streaming some of that on the ground. I'm gonna try to live stream some of that stuff that's happening on the ground. But let me just put up some of the flyers that are being put out there by people. So here is Black Unicorn World says home run for Julian. Los Angeles event has 40 RSVP so far. We can do better than that. All right, so we need more of you guys to register for this event. So here's code pink. Trying to get people to sign up to attend these events. And here is the website for Home Run for Julian. So Julian Assange's father and his stepbrother, his brother, John and Gabriel Shipton's Home Run for Julian tour began in Miami on June 6th. The Shiptons are scheduled to make stops on both coasts on the Midwest before concluding the tour in the nation's capital. Assange's family members will meet with activists, press, and policymakers to raise awareness of the importance of protecting whistleblowers and journalists and to advocate for the release of Julian Assange, whom the United Nations has declared arbitrarily detained since 2010. Here are all the events that are happening. All right, it's happening all over the country. And June 30th, there will be a live stream, happening from Washington, D.C., and Cornel West will be there. July 1st, people will be in front of the Department of Justice. All right, I'm going to go open up Discord and I'll bring on Josh and he's going to have some words. So activist Josh Davis, who is in the Action for Assange group in the DC area. All right, let me give him a call. Yo, Josh, where you at, man?
Yo.
What's up, Josh? Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Franco. Should I turn on my video or?
If you want, you don't have to.
Well, I got it on. It's fine. But,
okay. Let me share the screen then.
This Wednesday, it's pretty exciting. We just found out that Cornel West is going to be there. And it's just going to be a press event, but I'm definitely going to try to introduce myself to him. I mean, that's amazing that he's out there showing solidarity with Assange and his dad and his brother. And then on first is an event where we would like as many people to come out as possible. We're in the DC area. So we're going to be at the Department of Justice, which is 950 Pennsylvania Avenue. And it starts at 12 o'clock and ends at 2. The Shiptons are going to be there. So that's Julian's brother and Julian's dad, Gabriel and John Shipton. And they're amazing people just to interact with. And it's the last leg of the tour. So this will be the last opportunity that any of us in the United States will probably get to interact with them for a while. So it's just important that anybody in the DC area just come out and show solidarity. On Thursday at 12 p.m. in front of the Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Awesome. Yeah. And who else is going to be there? So I know that Steve Poikonen from Seoul News Day in Action for Assange will be there. Like who else is going to be there on the ground?
So Misty, Comrade Misty, Putin's toady, she's going to be there, which is great. And we're going to have Andrew Zygmunt. We're going to have Code Pink. We're going to have Answer Coalition, probably sending some people. And that's just off the top of my head. There's a couple other organizations I'm spacing on, but this one is looking bigger than the past couple events, which is pretty exciting, actually. So
awesome. Yeah. Every time I go, I have an awesome time. There's very inspirational speeches that happens. I feel like when people like call me, hey, Franco, give a speech. Like, I feel like I'm put on the spot, but hey, like I got to say, put my word in, show solidarity for Julian Assange. Sometimes, the words come out from the heart. Like it's absolutely ridiculous how he's still in prison right now. Like they're mistreating him. He runs the risk of being sick given his health conditions. He wasn't taken to the US. He wasn't extradited to the US prisons because of his mental health state and because of the risk of suicide. So it's just, he's dealing with so much right now. Like on top of health conditions, he has mental health conditions. So we and all of it for what? Because he revealed something embarrassing about the U.S. government
and other governments
and other governments as well. Yeah,
United States. It's the United Kingdom. It's Russia. It's China. It's it's Syria. Every country that you can think that the U.S. or that you've seen total global disruption, odds are Julian and WikiLeaks have revealed information that is harmful to the narrative that is being pushed in those areas. So that's why people are just trying so hard to silence this man and lock away the key. Because if they make an example out of this guy, then next it just comes the everyday independent news journalist, that's just talking about the pandemic or something that counters the narrative. Anything that does not go with what the mainstream wants going on, then after this precedent is set, if the United States is successful, which hopefully they're not, then it's very dangerous for even just the everyday person, for all of our beliefs. So it's a crucial moment that we show our solidarity. Reality Winner was just freed, which is amazing. So hopefully the Biden administration and Merrick Garland decide to let up the charges and stop the appeal.
Right.
Because like you said, Julian's case was they successfully got to they won the case, but only on mental health grounds. So they didn't even address any of the ridiculousness of prosecuting a journalist in a separate country. They didn't do any of that. They only said the reason that Julian won't be extradited is because he's a mental health risk to himself, because the United States prison prisons are so harsh, which is ridiculous. It should have been the legal grounds, and the case should have been dropped because there are no legal grounds. But they're just trying to hang him and make an example out of him.
Well said. Yeah. They're not. He just did whatever a journalist is supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to expose the authority that's exploiting its people and lying to the people. Right? Imagine like what else could have been revealed if he was free right now. Maybe there would have been more answers to all this confusion that's happening right now with the pandemic. Where what's the reason behind why they want to have all these mask mandates? Like even now after like getting these experimental vaccines, I feel like all of that could have been released more. Like it's such an inconvenient time for when they went after this man who's really admirable. Like so many journalists look up to Julian Assange because of the work that he does in telling us the truth. This is something that we need to know, because that's the whole point of the democracy, right? It's knowing the truth, not being lied to, not being coerced by being lied to about things, and having your consent being manufactured by these powers. So yeah, what are some ways that people can help? Like, of course, if you can't make the event, I highly urge people to share. Share the Home Run for Julian website, the Twitter page, and also ways that people can donate. Right. So, what are some ways that people can help out, Josh?
So you can donate directly through WikiLeaks.org if you want to help out Julian directly. There's tons of merchandise on there. Also, I mean, I don't work with, I don't know. So I'm just saying, if you want to go buy something, you can go there and it'll go directly to Julian. But immediately, we definitely could use the help with getting the word out about these local events, like what's upcoming this week. There's also an event upcoming in LA, I know, on the 3rd for his birthday and the July 4th weekend. So check your local area, see if there's anything going on in your area. But as far as how can you help Julian, it's talk to the people you know about Julian. It's the small domino has to fall before the big domino does. So if you get the word out between the people you know, such as your family, your coworkers, then that's the first domino. So you start there and then you go farther. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh, for getting a word in about this event, man. And I'll see you there again on the ground. I'll be there this Thursday. Yeah. All right. Take care, man. And I'm gonna open up Discord, so I might see you in a little bit if you want to join in. But
man, all right, I'll probably see you. Thank you, Franco.
Yeah. Take care, man. All right, guys. So that does it for the news show. Now it's the part where, I discuss with you guys, where we'll focus on solutions. You can talk about your thoughts on what I just talked about today. So I'm going to open up Discord. I believe Anthony Reyes was sharing links to the Discord. Let me see if there's any super rays so I can read those before we move on to the second part of the show. Nope. All right. So I'm going to open up Discord. There's a voice channel there that you guys can join.
Go.
Who's here? What's up?
Reef, hi, how are you?
Hello, Reef. What's up? How are you doing?
What's up, man? Pretty good, bro. How are you?
Pretty good, man. So what did you think of the show? What did you have any thoughts about some of the things I talked about?
I mean, other than, Kyle gonna be throwing himself to the wolves when he doesn't have to.
Oh, man, yeah.
But, anyway, I mean, I started seeing people call him out on Twitter and in the Jimmy Dore's Discord for a minute, before this happened. And I think they're probably partially to blame for, Kyle getting in on it. But I don't know. I hope he doesn't try to go full nuclear when he doesn't have to, but, whatever.
I'm curious to hear what he has to say. It might be because he said that he's going to talk about some things that he's not going to like. And I believe it might be the Anna Kasparian thing.
Are Anna and, Nick Brana. Maybe those are the two things.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Talking about third parties and all that. Yeah, I don't know what he could talk about Nick Brana, though, when it comes to this, because how is that related to the drama that's happening?
Other than, Jimmy and them are friends, right? But, I mean, that's about it. You know? So I don't know how he's going to... That'd be a big jump, in my opinion, for him to make, But plenty of shitlibs make that jump, so whatever.
It's gonna say a lot about Kyle's character depending on what he does. What's going on, Anthony? How you doing? What are your thoughts on every?
I want to say what's up to Reef. I be in his chats all the time. I'm bossed on Discord. I just want to say what's up.
Yeah, dude, what's up, man? Causing trouble on my Discord all the time. You know?
That's how I am.
Yeah. Whatever. Everyone causes problems everywhere at this point. You know? Just depends on who you're causing problems to.
At least I ain't Zayden, bro. That dude.
Dude, oh my God. You don't even want to know Franco. That dude's that's a shit lib who's in denial about his shit livery. That's
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. He just doesn't know yet. Anyway,
Who's this? Is this just another user?
That's someone
That's
in
a
our
dude on Discord, bro. Like, dude hates Jimmy.
I mean, like, is real. How do I put it? Right? He's real doom and gloom about it, right? Jimmy's done. He's he's went off the rails. It's like, bro, if that's where you're off the rails is at, man, you need to find a different train service. Because like Jimmy's kind of been the most consistent out of like how many lefties online. He's still wants the same things, calling out people for the same reasons.
Like the mainstream media and all that.
I wish he'd know about your server, bro. So he can see
like
people are saying shit.
Dude, I get it. Dude, I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole if I'm them. Like some fan club on the internet for the Jimmy Dore show. Like, I mean, I'm sure Franco comes in here and it's like, dude, it's risky. Like having one of these where you're connecting with political fans. It's a risky move, especially when you're as opinionated as Jimmy or Franco or anybody.
But it's
right?
but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I can tell you right now, like, Franco, like, he does what I'm about to say.
Yeah,
like,
he's in here.
Every content creator should do that, bro. You should listen to people that are good faith, that are like this. Like, listen, man.
He's been doing the same thing. Shout out to Kit over at Heartland.
Yeah.
He's just like out of because he's a good dude, has been like chatting with me. I'm like, oh, well, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. So,
yeah, man, but that's the thing, bro. It's like, Jimmy, like, I understand, bro. You have like a lot of fucking haters and shit that give you like the worst fucking complaints and shit.
How old is Jimmy Franco? How old is Jimmy?
He was, I believe, born in 1965, so he's like in his 50s.
Yeah. So the fact that he can, generally do well on Twitter and YouTube, let alone he's going to figure out Discord. I mean, good luck. Good luck being the tech guy trying to get Jimmy Dore to know how Discord works. He doesn't have to know. Look, I need their tech team to be like, okay, here's what's up. We'll put the link here. You seem to be well moderated. You seem to do stuff well. Okay, cool. I just need a link up on a YouTube channel, and it's good. Eventually you link Patreon and stuff.
But what's the point if he's not even listening to what the people in the Discord are saying? If it's not even going up to him.
Sure. I mean, that's the thing about like.
Seems like it's just ostracizing.
Yo, I have a question for you guys. And what's up, Prop? It's do you think that Kyle was right to just stay silent on this issue or not?
Reef knows my answer.
Oh yeah,
I want to hear Reef though. I want to hear Reef.
My answer is very similar to yours, right?
Oh, okay.
While I think about it. Yeah, like I get what Kyle was doing, right? Like I understand that. Like, look, these people are his personal friends, probably, and he doesn't necessarily want to go around smearing.
You also said like it might be a contractual thing. It might be
like I also feel like it's such a big issue that like, look, regardless of how you feel about Jimmy Dore,
exactly,
right?
It's the principle.
How you feel about Aaron Mate is a much different story.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even him, forget both of them. Take them out of the equation.
Yeah, just the issue.
All these people are spreading CIA talking points and like soft cool. Yeah, but basically a soft cool is what they're pushing.
Oh, that among many other terrible takes.
That's just two of like many.
Yeah,
and for you not to say anything,
right? I think he definitely said stuff on Force the Vote, which power to Kyle for taking that risk when he probably didn't have to because it was the right thing to do, right? You know, and I hope that from his Twitter today, you know, he's talking about obviously calling Aaron Mate a Russian puppet is dumb, right? Which I don't think he's made that very obvious during his shows.
Yeah, you see how he framed the second point?
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's
U.S.
smarmy.
Yeah. Like, no, not pushing U.S. narratives.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I gotta read I gotta read the tweet.
Well, he's replying to someone essentially saying like, "Hey, you're not talking about Syria, right?" And he's going, "No, I'm talking about Syria." And he's like, "No, that's not what we mean. We're talking about you're not talking about TYT Syria." Like, he was very clear in the tweet what the person meant, right? And it's also,
that's my point. That's my point. He made it about I denounce U.S.
And then someone had to clarify underneath it, and then he went off. He's like, because his little tactic didn't keep him out of the fight there, right? Because someone essentially went, yeah, but that's no, we're talking about this specifically, right? And the person in that tweet kind of says like it's disingenuous for you to not talk about that and TYT and whatever, right?
Exactly.
And he kind of went.
I did comment on it, and I also was skeptical of the U.S. narrative. But no,
for a minute. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that
what about your friend's narrative?
Yeah, the friend. That's exactly what he was calling out on. It's not just the American narrative; it's the narrative that your friends are repeating, right?
Right. And there's people that are just calling this drama. It's a little more than that, right?
It is. Yeah, like now it's drama. You remember what I said? Like I said, like. He fenced it on it, and then he got a fortuitous bounce where Anna and him and Jimmy made it about like workplace like etiquette, and then like he got to skate on everything. He got to skate on all the important stuff before that happened because it became drama towards the end. Yeah, and it's like nah, man. You're not being an honest actor when you do that.
You're talking about Kyle.
When the whole thing with Jimmy and Anna started with Aaron, that shit was all policy. It was all policy.
All policy, yep.
But he didn't come.
And he ducked all that. And then he made it seem like, oh, this is all drama. Let's just move on from it. Like, how convenient, Kyle. Very convenient of you.
Also, not to throw any other Discord shit on blast, right? But the Kyle Kulinski Discord has not been too comfortable with Jimmy Dore and his ilk for a minute, right? You know,
I didn't even know he had a Discord.
I didn't even know he had one.
Yeah,
he's got one. I don't think it's official. I think someone may have like got him to put it on a link tree somewhere.
But what does that mean, dude? Like, are people criticizing him? Like, let's be honest.
And
unfair to Jimmy because like.
Well, like if you come in there and mention force the vote or whatever, you're out, you're done, right? You know, you mention anything by convo, that kind of thing. It's like they're just not friendly towards those things. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. They can do what they fucking want. I don't care, right? But I find it funny. Well, I'm talking about it in a way that's like I'm trying to like okay. Hold on,
vote, and I'm tired of hearing you talk about it. You know what I mean? So.
Like, well, why would you be tired of people being, you know, the policy's still a good idea. I want them to force the vote on everything possible.
Because he didn't carry that energy into anything at all. He just kept throwing his hands up and saying no one wanted to join.
I wouldn't say that's necessarily the case either. You know.
Well, what happened with the force the vote Medicare movement or force the vote movement right after? Why was it just for Nancy Pelosi in the House? They could have forced the vote the next week on something. That you could have
sure, but no one's talking about this.
Like I'd rather criticize Jimmy.
Somebody tell me what the date is, please. Can somebody tell me what the date is today?
I think
29th.
June 29th. 2021, and we're talking about something that happened in January? Seriously?
Yeah, that's still guys, you talk about shit. We're still talking about shit in January.
No. I'm gonna bridge this for Reed. It's not that policy is bad. It's that Jimmy keeps repeating himself. He keeps going back to start going in the past.
It's still a thing that's talked about.
Yeah,
We still don't have Medicare for all.
No, but hold on.
Yeah,
I gotta
we
make
still
this
don't
point.
have those things.
I gotta make this point. You're correct. That's not a bad policy. It's not bad to talk about. But when your whole show is that, and like
Also
rushing
not-
it over and over, that's the problem.
I can show you a chat in my Discord that pulls up every video he's done for the last month. The ratio is a lot.
But you're not getting what I'm
further.
trying to say. Like, I'm
What? That he's still talking about it?
Let Reeve talk. Let Reeve
No.
make
Yeah.
his point. Let Reeve make his point.
But also, like, what organizations have even been organizing recently anyway? We've had one I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch, right? And I'm sure, like, if you think Jimmy Dore is actively turning down opportunities to organize,
He is.
No.
Not to organize, but to interview people with important things to say. That is
what?
fact.
Like,
That is
like,
hard.
like,
all I'm saying is
Don
he's had a bunch of
Segura,
energy,
you
instead
know,
of using
he's
that-
had Anya. He's had more than he just had Julian Assange's father and brother on the show.
and that
But
took-
after
Yeah,
he
I
did
think
these
ultimately,
things,
if you want to produce Jimmy's show, maybe
he was literally like shamed into doing all of that stuff.
About Julian Assange. I want to hear what Reeve has to say. Go ahead, Josh. Say what you're gonna say
about who?
about what it took to get John on Jimmy's show.
Yeah, apparently
I
that
don't think
took
Reeve
like
knows
a
that.
lot, dude. It wasn't that easy, apparently,
Yeah.
from what I've heard. So, like,
Right.
Jimmy, if you would think if Jimmy was so interested on this issue, then he would be very forthcoming, right? He would want to have, but that was not the case, apparently. So, isn't that a little sketchy?
I mean, I'm only getting. I don't have whatever
it's all
information you're privy
Yeah.
to.
This
You
is all
know.
correct. Yeah.
Sure, you know.
But if this
and
was
there's
the
plenty
case,
of
right? Like if Julian's parents were in the States, if I were Jimmy, I would be going out of my way to get them on my show. From what
Sure. And I also want Chink Uger, you know, with headgear and gloves on in a cage in my backyard. But you know, it may
My
not.
critique with these people is that they're not. There's
What?
a million things to cover, and they're covering like nonstop the same shit, and
They're
they're
covering
following these
personal
algorithms.
shit.
Instead of trying to get people to actually like wake up to the world that we're living in. Like I haven't seen Jimmy touch nuclear war. I haven't seen him dive into any other country other than like Syria. There's just a
And it's still this OPCW, right? The OPCW report.
You have those kind of connections,
Yeah.
and you're not even having Daniel Ellsberg on or other people to talk about the books that they just write.
I agree with
governments.
yo.
Like they're squandering perfect times to interview people and to push issues.
I agree with you, Prop, but I think that guys,
I was saying me and
yo,
Boston of go ahead, Franco.
I was just gonna say, like, I agree that he should be talking about all of these other issues, but if he's personally attacked, if he feels the need to make a segment about it, you know, just make a segment, but to drag it on, you know, for a long time, and have that be like the only focus that you have, like on Twitter and YouTube, you know. If these people are as irrelevant as you're trying to make them out to be, like TYT, then, you know, just treat them as irrelevant and talk about the important issues, like how Prop was just saying, you know.
If someone threatened a sexual thing against you, Franco, you feel like when you feel like you had to do maybe more than a segment, you know what I mean? It's your fucking.
Then that's like another segment. Then that's another segment.
That's another. It's like for one personal. So it's the way I take it is that Jimmy needs to shift his thinking on TYT to be more like his thinking with like Majority Report or fucking, you know, any of those other clowns that he generally decides to ignore unless they say something dumb about him specifically, right? You know, and he might do half a segment on them, and usually in that segment he says, "I don't like to cover these people," and give
Some
them.
people are more reactionary to
Sure.
feeling threatened, you know, and they just.
Well, I think when it was your best friends for, you know, how many years?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
You
gotta be
know,
very
that
personal
are now stabbing you in the back over obvious political nonsense.
But is it
They're
drama or is it politics? Is it that or is it
both? It can be both.
Josh, like the whole TYT shit, like yeah, like that first week.
But like
maybe
Franco
week and a
said,
half, it was warranted.
but like
I
Franco
feel like it was
said,
warranted.
then cover it and then establish that, then move on. Stop beating a dead horse.
But not, I think it's a little more than a dead horse. Though, you know?
And then Anna came back at Aaron and then started all over again.
Over again. Right. And TYT is going to continue.
If everybody is going to continue to gnat around you, are you going to go swat every single fucking gnat around you when you're trying to catch a fly ball? Or are you going to pay attention to the ball? I think
I have less of a problem with that than I do with the diversity of like his topics and guests. Like having him on 5 times a month, that's a problem.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
This all blew up, dude. He was having Aaron Mate on like every week, and then all of a sudden the shit blows up, and then it's yeah, and then it's like, oh, like have all the rest of the great
like, we got other fish to fry.
Can I say something real quick?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, like why are we all focused on like this personality drama bullshit, Holmes? Like seriously, we're rehashing some fucking shit about some people that sit in a fucking studio or in a goddamn garage all fucking day and are not working class and they are not fucking doing anything to help us out. All they're doing is talking about their interpersonal fucking drama. Yeah. Nobody fucking cares anymore. This is irrelevant, bro. The world is on fire right now.
What do you mean no one cares? Have you seen their view counts and their Twitter ratios?
Yeah,
people obviously care.
It's a bubble, though. It is a bubble, though. Like, not everybody watches independent media.
Like, does it matter?
I do think it matters to some degree.
He said, she said, really matter, Holmes. Like seriously,
it's not just. Hold on.
What do you think about the possibility of like Alt 7 or these social media companies boosting this stuff by giving you all these likes so that you keep on these topics and they're controlling the narrative beyond the scene?
I think it was Hardlands or Vanguard talking about that their drama shit is pushed more in the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, that's a whole discussion, right? But I don't think that this particular instance is just he said she said bullshit. It's not. It's way more than that. This is
okay. Then it did turn into.
No, I still don't think so. I still think. Look, Jimmy.
And then next week they're gonna do
this Kyle shit's a little different, but again, this is not. Jimmy liked the fucking tweet. Jimmy liked the tweet. That's all he did, and like people are acting like this. He caused it. No.
On Twitter, bro. Like, it doesn't have to
Like that's Twitter bullshit. That's Kyle. No one's yelling at Kyle for his fucking starting Twitter drama shit. No one's doing that. Who are they going to? Jimmy. Even though Jimmy, all he did was like a tweet. How hard is? Like I don't get it. I still don't get it. The dude has he's only defended himself.
Yeah, nobody's ever tweeted in anger or responded to a tweet to be facetious or
right.
I think I'd like to bring up this point. I think everybody's point about content creators covering what you think is more important to you or to your group of people that you're talking about. I think taking every action you can to ensure that they do is a lot more effective than just bitching about what they're not doing.
It just turns the people bitching about the fucking drama are exactly that's the drama. It's not the people bitching about it. The drama is everyone complaining and someone bitching about it.
No, I'm bitching about being a drama queen because I wanted to actually talk about the real issues going on, not this stuff. That's all I'm saying.
I do think the issue is that this
has no relevance to our everyday lives. Has no relevance to minimum wage, healthcare, anything.
No, I hear both sides. I hear both sides of this argument.
No.
I hear both sides of this argument.
I agree with that, Josh.
What Reef is saying is that in this instance it's warranted. The problem is, Reef, he's had a whole year to talk about other stuff, and it's very repetitive, and then like becomes drama. Force the vote, okay, and then becomes drama after that. Yeah, we got another situation. But where you see where like it's not that people are at faith attacking him. It's that they see trends that they don't like, and it may not be all of Jimmy's fault. But Jimmy keeps finding himself in these situations.
I can definitely see. Right. But and why is that? Because he fucking is taking. You know what? You think that Jimmy's some more nefarious person than someone else?
I think that people go at Jimmy because his personality and his rhetoric is easy to attack.
Sure,
like I wear a suit and I only say facts.
Franco,
It's like-
how many people you get that are just as shitty and think you're someone that goes out and just starts drama with fucking shit. You're not. You're looking at the stories and what's important, and you're looking at the sub story of that. And dude, you're one guy. How many videos can you do a week?
But Franco doesn't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers like Jimmy.
I do have more of a diverse. I do have more diverse topics than Jimmy
The
though.
last part is valid.
Yeah.
It's just one guy.
No, man.
He's not just one guy.
Jimmy doesn't write his show. He hires people to write his show, dude.
Yeah,
That
he's
being
yeah.
said, I was gonna say that.
Show writers and a fucking producer, sure.
Reed, that being said, he shows a lack of commitment, even when it comes to super chats, bro. Like they're sending him questions, they're sending him shit, and he walks away from the room and lets Steph answer it. When you know Steph's not gonna get back to him with 90% of that stuff.
Right. Because 90% of that stuff probably isn't worth,
Are you sure about? I don't know, man.
No, I'm not sure. I'm making
It's a good percentage. I would argue.
Sure.
Hey, man. People begging him to have Caleb Hoffman on. Like Caleb Hoffman, I don't think is
Whitney
like
Webb
the best
and
guy. But he is good
Jimmy's
content.
going on fucking today. Jimmy's going on Action for Assange today with Misty and whatever. Misty's been tweeting out all day.
His own brand.
Josh, Josh,
And boost their brand. And boost their brand.
You gotta chill a little bit though, Josh. Like,
When he goes on Franco, he doesn't just boost his brand. Franco, how much did you see from that?
Not as much as I thought, but it could be because I'm demonetized.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad.
Your sub count go up.
It was 200 subs.
Sub count went up, bro. The sub
I get more sub count I get more subs that go up when some solo videos, but hey, it was pretty good.
I think it's debatable whether or not having Jimmy Dore on a smaller channel benefits those people.
It definitely there's a net benefit for sure.
I mean, I think me and Boss definitely agree that it would be nice for Jimmy now that we can start look, now that he's just got to move away from that. He's got to start treating them like they're same seater, whatever, and generally start ignoring them, right? Because they're not worth talking about.
Hold on. He's got to diversify a little bit. I understand he's a one man. He can't cover everything.
Right.
He's definitely got to that. He's not doing enough.
I'd love for him to start having, there's plenty of people I would like Jimmy to start having on tomorrow, and I hope that he's, he's going on Rogan the 26th, right? Or was already on Rogan and it's going to air.
It's not even about people, it's topics, bro. It's
sure.
Topics. You gotta diversify his topics.
Right. But his topics are topics have been because he's one of the only ones covering
That's not
those topics.
true. That's not true.
What? He's talked about Syria. He talked about Donziger. He's talked about Julian Assange.
Or Syria.
He just talks about the OPCW report though.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah, it's been a lot about the OPCW report. I agree, but he's one of the few people actually. He's one of the. I want someone that big doing it.
Literally, is a one-man show and works a full-time job.
Sure.
And
How many people do you think Jimmy's got working for him?
Yeah, but Reef, like for instance, I'm not gonna bring up. I'm not trying to come at Gray Zone. I'm not trying to make up any beef. I will say though, there have been reporters on the ground years before Gray Zone, and the BBC is trying to lock them up for uncovering the white helmet situation. And a guy like Jimmy is needed there. And he has no fucking idea what's going on with these Vanessa Beale and Eva Butler are getting prosecuted by the UK government for their role in fucking exposing the white helmets. That's just one story. There's plenty of other stories.
I know part of Jimmy's lack of guests has been COVID. Right, he's only had Aaron Mate in the studio. He used to have Ron and Graham.
Dude, there's plenty of people who talk to him on the fucking phone,
bro.
Yeah, I know that. But having done webcam stuff with lefty people, the amount of times where they don't have the equipment to do it or get set up.
Or the stories that he's covering, there's a lot of shit he's missing, bro. That I can't say he's not aware of. I can't say for a fact.
Yeah, you just said he's not aware of Vanessa Beeley and Eva Bartlett. Fuck yeah, he is.
There's half them on.
Hell
You
yeah,
talked
he is.
about them.
Of course.
And like, there's a lot of bro. Like, there's a lot of stories.
Hundreds
of dollars. This reminds me a lot of
trying to assume
yesterday.
We're trying to assume his motives based off people he hasn't
I'm
on.
assuming motive. I'm just pointing out facts that
Like
there are
Franco,
stories that are slipping by that he needs
Franco,
to cover.
you're an asshole because you haven't had, you know, whoever on. Like that.
You're missing the point.
No.
You're missing the
Like,
point.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
not.
not. Yeah, like I'm not with calling him an asshole either. I'm trying to be fair to him. I'm not trying to call him an asshole.
Sure, but how many times? Like, look, the first thing, we're all just playing a Monday morning quarterback on Jimmy fucking Dore.
What?
You know?
Yeah, but it's also like he holds a lot of power, and like you said, like forcing, or I think it was Steve Cutler, but this
You don't think he's hearing it from? You don't think he's hearing it from all the lefty people around him?
Not in this way. Not in this way at all. The most of those people are like want Jimmy to shut up.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad faith actors, and I think Jimmy's like gun shy about hearing criticism.
Yeah,
I think.
Hey guys,
I think
guys,
that's cool.
you remember that Jimmy is sick? He had his entire spine like collapse, and you guys are shitting on him like he's not doing enough. He's decided to continue to do it. He's continuing through his disabilities doing this. So how dare you guys sit there?
Lucky, we're just criticizing.
No, Lucky, that's not my point. That's not my point.
That's
like,
not
for
my
instance,
point.
Let me finish.
he had
Let me finish.
sorry.
I hear a lot of people
Let her
like saying
finish.
he's
Let her
not
finish.
covering this,
Let her finish.
he's not covering that. Then let's, as a group, try to bring things to his attention instead of saying he's not covering
People
this.
have tried though,
For him
Lucky.
to cover
People
it.
have tried though.
Yeah, how have they tried?
So we keep trying.
They
And then
Super chat trying to get Julian out of jail.
Yeah, super chats. You're disingenuous for not covering this, and you're dishonest for
No,
not
dude, that's
covering
not
this.
it. That's not it. Like, for instance, okay, listen to me. Listen to me.
3/3 of the super chats are hate. 3/3 of the super chats are like valid questions that they want Jimmy to read at least. He doesn't have to answer them, but read them at least. They're not like people don't put on Jimmy's show to hate on him, bro. On the super chats, I don't think like 3/3 are not hating on him.
And hear me out on this. So you were saying like he can't just have every Dick Tracy on with their webcam. He literally had Dylan Radigan on that was like doing the dishes and talking to his buddy in the background.
There's exceptions to the rule. I'm willing to put up.
Have anybody on?
Yeah, but why not have on Daniel Ellsberg and all these other people to talk about their books? Like,
It's like you're doing a live show every day.
That's not fair. He said, I heard him say, he's not an interview show. He doesn't like doing a lot of interviews.
then why have Dylan Radigan and fucking Aaron Mate on all the time? That's why it's a valid to me.
That's a valid criticism though. Like he's a comedian when he wants to be, and he's a journalist when he wants to be too. Lucky.
He can be both things. He is a comedian and he's you know an activist and a fucking reporter. And you know he wears a lot of hats. I think this reminds me of yesterday when everybody was coming down on Ed for giving Joy a bunch of shit. It's like I kind of feel like Jimmy's in a way better position than Joy, certainly with the blindness, but he should be considered in that way as well because he does have a fucking disability. He keeps himself fit, so he is okay, you know?
Steve, he's open to criticism, no? I mean,
yeah, but he's rich and has a staff members that write his show. So I'm talking to his staff members right now, not even Jim.
Yeah, that's absolutely who you should be talking to. I think.
I'm talking about Jimmy too.
The amount of fucking comedians that are mentally dysfunctional because of past trauma, you know,
Most of them.
from what Jimmy has said about his own personal life, that dude's got fucking major issues where he's going to therapy now dealing with.
Yeah.
Right? And we're trying to come in and be his dad and tell him that he needs to, you know, make sure his room is clean and his dishes are up. Yeah, I mean it's like no one wants to hear that. You gotta have
exactly, Josh.
You gotta have your Ben Affleck character and Goodwill Hunting come in and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm not coming
Not
on
Josh, but like listen.
No,
Listen, bro, there's like shitlibs in the Reef server. There's shitlibs in the Reef server who like they just like that dude saying it. Like every word is venom. Like,
yeah, I mean
people are not
like that. I like
super nihilistic itself.
on
Don't
one
confuse
person.
me
Like
with
word
those
salad.
athletes, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm coming out of, I'm a personal, I used to be an avid watcher of Jimmy's, and I have been pushed away from Jimmy. So don't come at me like I'm.
And that's valid too, Reef. Like even myself, bro. Like I don't find myself watching Jimmy as much because it's very repetitive. I'm not trying to say that he's not doing the good work, but it's very repetitive, bro. Like for instance, I'll make an example. A lot of people don't like when I make this example, but Sam Cedar, he has no fucking qualms of attacking the right in like meaningful ways, but he has no credibility because
Jimmy does do that. He just doesn't.
He does have the credibility though, Reed. Yeah. And he can. Sure. He needs to like, bro. There are fucking platforms on the right that have more live viewers than him, TYT, and like someone like Bosch put together that are doing way more fucked up shit than TYT is. And if he's focused on them, he can grow his sub count, and we need to make the minute.
All right, hold on. Yo. All right. So it's getting hard for the people in the chat to like understand like who's saying what because there's a lot of talking over.
Yeah.
But we were able to hear Anthony clearly there. So like what kind of like what are these people on the right saying? Right, you're certainly not talking about Jimmy covering what how TYT criticizes like these people on the right with these like petty stories of social issues. Right? Yeah. So on foreign policy issues, right?
Or the Gray Zone's name because they know these are popular shows, but they have criticized the way Jimmy has covered Venezuela and Syria, and how like they basically saying the same thing TYT is saying, that Jimmy's in Assad Todi or the Gray Zone are Assad Todi, and they're even easier to rep than Anna and TYT, and they have quadruple the fucking subs and views like Tim Pool and Crowder do. They like, bro, these people would crumble. If Jimmy just said 2 words, they would crumble. Because Jimmy has the cachet. Like he has these conservatives on his show that like yo, I like Jimmy. He's the good faith actor. He has that influence over them that if he comes at them, they would follow. That's what I'm saying. And that can help him show a lot.
Have you ever seen George Carlin dress down a heckler? Right, there's a video by a channel. If you go look it up, it's Comedy Without Errors. He just did a whole thing on whole video essay on comedians dealing with hecklers, which is I have to imagine is Jimmy's mode of operation, right? Like anyone coming at him is just a heckler in the audience, right? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I hear that a lot of bad faith attacks against him. I know.
And Carlin would have just cut everything, your whole soul out from your body, and raked it over the hot coals and gave it back to you, right? So that
before you barbecue it.
Sure, yeah, like I think comedians learn that skill where it's now a lot of comedians figure out other ways of dealing with it, but
it's a coping mechanism, especially if you're
proud of being wrong. They should be proud of being called out when they're wrong. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna defend them like
to be fucking called out all the fucking, he gets called out all the time.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
But I'm saying if you're gonna open up the criticism and say, okay, he's just a comedian, then you also have to be open to the people that will not like what he says, and lots of comedians get a lot of shit.
Josh, all right, let me paint this scenario.
He who was without sin throw that first stone,
Yeah. Let me paint this scenario to you, Josh. How many years? I know you've done it. I've done it. Everybody in this chat's done it. How many years have we defended Jimmy from bad faith attacks from Cedar and the likes? And
we'll continue to do so.
At least 4 or 5 years. Imagine that toll on your mindset being Jimmy Dore. So then like that's why I'm kind of like I try to not yell at like Jimmy Dore fans. I try not to be like dogmatic towards them. I'm trying to like in plain simple terms say, hey man, I like Jimmy. I used to like him a lot more back then when he used to cover things that he doesn't seem to really be covering like that anymore.
Yeah, I respect
I'm not trying to yell at them, right? I'm just trying to be like as forthcoming as I can so they understand that I'm not like all these other shitlibs. Because Josh, like when you raise your voice and tone and like everything that comes out is fuck Jimmy, fuck, like, bro, that's how, I know you don't mean that, and I see it coming out of your mouth, like, yo, this isn't gonna land well. Like there has to be a different, all right, maybe kid gloves or something. Because
but I'm also at the point where I have really been pushed over the edge with Jimmy, so that's where that's
one of the first signs. So my father's a mental health counselor, right? And one of the first things they tell you about trying to de-escalate personal beefs is validate the other person's emotion, right? Like immediately first, right? Telling someone to calm down and stop doing something tends to make them have that fuck you attitude, right?
Calm the fuck down, bro.
Right. You know, that has never not led to a fight ever, you know? So for me, we have to acklish Jimmy's emotions in this, right? I think that's an important part of this problem.
That's why
All right, one at a time. Hang on, guys. Hang on, guys. Hang on, guy. Josh, hang on. All right, let me hear from Prop, and then Shadow Ban Refugee, because we haven't heard from him in a while, and then we'll bring it over to you, Josh. What do you have to say about what Reef just said? Starting with you, Prop.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like a lot of like the group I'm in, like we're not coming at Jimmy to like cancel him or anything. We're literally trying to give him advice. It might sound crass or whatever, but it's like, I don't know, man. The world's burning, and it's like you can see some shit that needs to be talked about, and he has a large platform, and I don't think the topics I'm asking him to talk about are going to hurt his content and like lose some subscribers or anything. I think that he would only gain subscribers.
All right, Shadow Ban, what do you think?
Well, dude, like, I don't know. One, like I said, it's very novella to me.
Same. Yeah.
Like, you know, I ran in, I graduated high school a very long time ago, and I don't wish to go back to that fucking mindset of he said this, she said that, he said this though, and then he said this, and then this person said this, and then we pick sides for which fucking friend we're gonna fucking side with after the breakup, dude. Like, it's very fucking like, it's childish to me, one. And two, like, yeah, I get it. You validate somebody's feelings in a misunderstanding. But dog, this is like what topics has Jimmy Dore fucking covered in the past 7 fucking months? OPCW cover up, force the vote, and TYT's trash. What anything else? No. I haven't heard anything fucking else.
The Biden administration.
Hold on.
Julian Assange, you know.
Well, I'm talking like the bulk of the content. Like, there's always these things. Shit. There's always these things that are in the fucking theme of the show.
Well, yeah, right? We're talking about bulk. Bulk is forced to vote and Biden. That's the bulk of it.
Yeah. Now, okay, so Biden has the vote. Yeah, and like, I don't know, dude. We've heard the fucking story already. And then this shit gets more drawn out and more hashed out, and it just continuously repetitive over and over and over again, yo. Like Prof was saying, the world is on fucking fire, yo. Like, for fuck's sake, Canada's breaking fucking temperature records. Like, why are we talking about some fucking beef between these fucking people that are like used to be friends, and like we have this weird parasocial relationship with them or whatever the fuck? Like, nah, dude. Like, there's shit that needs to be done, right? There's this jab fucking campaign that people are fucking getting myocarditis and shit, right? There's people being censored off of fucking YouTube for real for talking about real shit, not some fucking weird drama shit.
Yeah, a little too late, but yeah.
Yeah, a little too late. Like, here we are fucking 6 months fucking later, and I'm still hearing about force to fucking vote. Yo, we know the Democratic Party's trash. We know the squad's trash. We know the fucking, and if you still think that electoral politics has anything to do with a viable option forward, I got a fucking bridge to sell you. Just the fact I got some oceanfront property across the river from me here in fucking New Mexico, Holmes. Like, enough. Like, we need to talk about some shit that really fucking matters. And I think at this point, Jimmy's just doing a disservice to his audience for like fucking attention, drawing the shit out more and more. Like, I don't fucking care about it anymore. Like, I'm so fucking turned off to him and his fucking like entire goddamn brand that I don't want to fucking watch Jimmy Dore anymore because I know what the fucking story is. I know what the show is. Right? Like, that's my fucking beef with this shit. And it's actually driving people away. Everyone talks about how we're losing subscribers because of this and that and fucking censorship. Maybe people are losing subscribers just because they're playing this fucking stupid fucking game over and over and over again. And it's the same show. And nobody ever fucking moves forward. And people feel dirty because we're fucking watching a telenovela. That's my take.
Awesome. All right, and then Josh, and then I'll have the final word here because I do have to head out. But you guys are more than welcome to stay here in the voice chat. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, all I was gonna say, I mean, I definitely agree with Shadowban. I mean, this guy he may have health problems, he may be a good voice for the left, but he is not immune to criticism. That's it. And when people come and start to criticize him, you can't just assume, oh, you're coming at him like Sam Cedar, oh, you're coming at him like Shank. You have to actually listen to what they're saying and not just like assume they're bad faith actors, you know?
Okay. I think everybody here who's watching and who likes this video and who's in my Discord will universally agree that TYT and Majority Report are trash. Right? So the people who criticize Jimmy Dore, you know, within this audience, Discord member, they're not coming at it in bad faith at all. Right? They just want improvement. Like they're sick and tired of just like having, you know, these repetitive stories, but then no action is taken. I think that's what it comes down to is we want to see action. We want to see something new. We want to see like new stories covered. Like we want to expand our consciousness. So I think what you guys are trying to say is let's focus more on solutions now. Like we understand what the problems are. We know the Democratic Party is trash. We know the Republican Party is trash. We know that these synthetic leftists like TYT, a Majority Report, David Pakman, all those guys are trash. So now let's take action. Jimmy Dore was doing something good with Force the Vote, but you know, let's keep at it. Don't just like keep talking about what happened in January. Let's do something new, and we can organize. You know, for you know these new policies that we can push, or you can push other ideas of people who are by people who are promoting solutions, like Derek Brose's Freedom Cells. Talk about like some really deep stuff, some really deep investigative work that Whitney Webb and Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond or Vanessa Beeley or Corey Morningstar or Eva Bartlett are talking about. That's where I think that's where, you know, these good faith criticisms from people who used to watch Jimmy Dore and who aren't fans of Sam Cedar or TYT are trying to say, right? That's what, you know, I can sum up the argument is, right? All right. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to talk about solutions on here. I'm talking about events that are happening on the ground. And I hope that serves as an example for other content creators to do the same. And I'm going to do more live streams like this where I give the news and then I have the audience in here and we can have a discussion focused on solutions. And yes, talking about what the problems are with independent media is, you know, diagnosing the problem so we can get to a solution. Right, this is not working, so you know this is how we can improve. Let's get it started. You know, let's move on. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Everybody, stay informed. To people who popped into this Discord discussion, I really appreciate you guys voicing your opinions. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Appreciate you.
Peace out, guys.
Hey, Reef, take care, bro. Take care, buddy.
More like